And so I was like, there's got to be, in my mind, the questions, I always tell people this, the quality of your life is determined by two simple things: the quality of questions that you ask yourself and others, and then the quality of people that you choose to emulate. Honestly, I think that determines where you're going to be in life. What questions you're asking and who are you emulating, and have they created the results that you wanted? So I started digging, like, what have the wealthy people done? AK, what did the Rockefeller family do? And as I started digging into all the stuff, it just, like, the pieces of the puzzle just came together. Everything was just stacking on top of each other. And I was like, okay. And I think for me, that's the ability to discern information, is when things start, it doesn't mean you're not going to have hiccups.
Let's impact some men today. I think we're going to do a great job. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Modern Man Podcast, where we are on a mission to connect men in pursuit of their potential. Join us as we embrace discomfort, cultivate community, and put wind in each other's sails. Now, before we jump into the episode, first, I want to remind you, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and share this episode with somebody you know can get value from it as well. And of course, make sure that you're subscribing to this podcast for a new episode each and every single week. And to the men and the fellas that are listening or watching, check out the Noble Knights Men's Group, where you can find the support, the accountability, and the mentorship you need to achieve your goals. Join us and become a part of a group of like-minded men on a mission to improve themselves and increase their capacity for life. And I'm excited because we are going to get some wind in our sails today from my guest, who is the founder of Protect Your Legacy, a financial education firm that empowers families, especially men, to reclaim financial sovereignty through tools like infinite banking, strategic life insurance, and long-term legacy planning. As a father and entrepreneur, my guest brings real-world insight into the tension between chasing success and securing a legacy worth passing down. It is a pleasure to have my good friend, who was on my old podcast, No Rain, No Rainbows.
I know.
Out on this one, Sergio Loaiza. Great to have you, man.
Yeah, dude, I'm so excited. It's so funny. As you were doing that intro, I was like, I mean, I don't need to say anything. That's like the best intro ever. So I appreciate it. I'm jacked to be on. Obviously, just to be able to share stories and connect with you again. It's funny. I don't know if people do this often, but when's the last time you Googled yourself, your name?
Oh, man.
Have you done it recently?
Years. I have not.
Okay, so it's funny. Ironically, the other day I did it, and it was so cool. I think I did it on YouTube, because if you do it on different platforms, it changes. But I did it on YouTube, and guess what? The first video was that popped up when I put my name. It was the one we did. Yes, it was us. The one we did back in the day. It was four of us talking, living room style, talking about mentorship, leadership, and it's just cool to reflect back on that moment and where we are now. So, man, I'm excited to be on to just share whatever I can with your guests and really just catch up, man.
No, man, absolutely. And obviously the listeners have probably gotten hit to the fact that we've known each other for a number of years, and we have this relationship with me, which means we've seen seasons of life together. It's amazing to think of like where we were when we met. I believe it was like a In South magazine release party. And from there to where we are now, completely different men.
Yep.
We've grown through that, but our friendship and obviously being able to connect and have this conversation again. For those of
all seasons of life, man. Like we did it all.
Winter, spring, summer, and fall, and we'll do it all again, right? But for anybody who is listening, the audience who perhaps hasn't heard our panel discussion or our interview with No Rain, No Rainbows, I'd love for you to speak to the audience really quick. Take the podcast, it's yours, put your name on it, and just, tell them a little bit about who you are, what you do. The question I like to pose to people is this. If you were to walk into a room and nobody knows you or what you do, how do you introduce yourself?
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. Well, I mean, obviously you could introduce yourself in so many ways, and I could as well. But honestly, the first thing that comes to mind is, hey, I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a brother. And I have one older brother. And when it comes down to me as a person, I'm a lover of people. I love people. I love leadership development. I love personal development. And I've been in that space my entire life. And as we talked, I'm now in a very unique season of my life where I would say, my legacy building years. I'm about to turn 40. So I'm a man that's on pursuit of building a legacy for his family. I know that means a lot of different things for people when you say that, but that's who I am. I'm looking for ways to not only protect my legacy as obviously the new company that I started, but even more importantly, ways to show people how to truly protect their legacy. Whether it's men that are in similar positions of me, maybe it's single moms, whoever's looking to protect their legacy. I feel like I've came across some really important information that could help people shorten that gap and maybe even 10x the journey and get there a little bit faster. So that's who I am, man. There's so much behind that, but that's the gist of it.
Yeah, man, I love it, and I'm excited to jump into a lot of that, right? And we'll jump into the backstory along the way. But I
Yep.
almost want to start at the end, right? This is a little bit
Yep.
of different approach to storytelling I typically do on the podcast, but starting protect your legacy. What led you to that? I'm curious as to what was the inception. Was this something that festered for years, or was
Yeah.
it like a one weekend? It was a Friday. By Monday, you're like, "This is what we're doing."
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Yeah, so honestly, like I think it's always been a dream and a vision that God has put in my heart. I just never knew how I was going to deploy it. I mean, I've been a serial entrepreneur my entire life. Really, I could go back into those backstories of even being a young little boy, selling things at school and stuff like that. But long story short is I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. So has everybody pretty much in my family at some capacity. So it's been a vision, it's been a dream inside my heart that I believe God placed in there, but it wasn't until literally a couple of years ago that I'm a man of faith. I was just, I wasn't going through like a hard time in life, depression in any type of sense, because that's one thing that I'm really grateful for of myself. I've developed a very a strong emotional IQ, emotional intelligence of like, I just know who I am as a person. I'm very grateful for that. I don't say that from an arrogant place. I've just worked really hard at that because my background is
Nice.
psychology. So I understood the importance of that. But with that said, I was just in a season of transition, trying to figure out like, I want to do something great. I know I have something in me that I can give to the world, but I don't know I don't know the vehicle to do it in. And so, long story short, I'm praying for a couple of months. I've got a prayer closet. If you don't know what that is, hey, I encourage you to look it up. If you're a man of faith, if you're not, look it up anyways. It might inspire you. But I've got a prayer closet. I was getting in this prayer closet. I was in a season of my life where it was just like, we weren't doing bad financially, but we still weren't getting ahead. And there
Mm,
was, I had one little boy already, another one on the way. We just moved into a house, acquired some not so good debt, and lost some potential jobs in my production career, some big contracts. So there's a lot of moving pieces. And I remember just getting in my prayer closet and kind of just asking God for guidance and like, okay, like what's my next thing? Like what can I give my heart to? What can I give my all to that will not only create impact in my life but others? And that's where I've always been a brand builder. I've always had different things that I've built, and that's where ultimately it just started coming together. And I wouldn't say it wasn't audible. God wasn't like speaking to me, but ultimately it was very clear. It was very clear of kind of what my next step was, and I was, what led me into the idea of what we'll talk about maybe later is the idea of infinite banking. The idea of what led to protect your legacy is that I was during that up and down roller coaster season of my life a couple of years ago, it was an up and down roller coaster. I went from losing a really big client to a couple months later getting a really big paycheck from one of the other businesses that I do. And so in my mind, this was the thought. I'm like, all right, Lord, I need to pay off these debts, but I just got this big chunk of money. I could just easily pay off the debts, but then the money's gone forever. If I do that, that's awesome. I'm debt free again. But if I just do that, then that big chunk of money is gone forever. And I'm thinking like, there's got to be a better way to deploy my money and maybe protect it within my family. There's got to be some type of creative financing. I was always into finances and learning and reading, but I didn't really know how. And boom, I literally came across a YouTube video talking about the concept of infinite banking.
hmm,
And long story short, I just went down the rabbit hole because I had seen it before, but I had never seen it with that much clarity and simplicity. So as I
mhm.
started looking into it, I was like, man, I've seen this before. 15 years ago, I saw this from Tony Robbins. And Tony
Yeah.
Robbins is one of my favorite guys. I know you like him as well. And I was like, man, Tony was talking about this 15 years ago and it went right over my head. As a matter of fact, I've read an article about this stuff, how wealthy people do this as well. And so, yeah, that's what started it, man. It was just like little seeds. I would say that little breadcrumbs. God was kind of laying the foundation to a really big vision. And now our vision is simple. The beginning vision for me and my family and my wife and our kids is like, we want to help 100 families create their own family banking system. Not
Mm,
so they can say we're infinite bankers, so they can truly protect their legacy for generations to come under the uncertainty of our economy and everything that's happening. What I've realized is that using these products is one of the safest and most secure ways to protect your legacy and still use the benefits of everything that they provide. So that's what Protect Your Legacy is about. It's so much more. It's a movement. It's not just a brand. It's not just a new company that we started. It really is about teaching families how to take complete control of their finances so that they can go out and do whatever it is they're called to do. Because
yeah.
that's one of the biggest things on my heart. I just know there's so many people out there with gifts, talents, and abilities that for some reason can't give them to the world because they're so busy trying to figure out what to do with finances or make
Mhm.
more finances and pay the bills and just get ahead. No matter how well you think you do in business, it almost seems like life creeps up right beside it. So there's like the system's not broken. We just don't know the rules.
Oh man, yeah. Hold on, I gotta make it that note. The system is not broken. We just don't know the rules, man. There's something I completely forgot about when you speak, Sergio. You are like a gem, carpet bomb. Like, like boom, boom. But I mean, I love your questions, right?
Yeah.
Even that last part, like the system isn't broken. We just don't know the rules. Um,
Yeah.
it's so important for us to learn the playbook within the game that we play
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
we know the playbook and we know the rules completely changes everything. And one of the depictions I had for that with a client call was as I was going through these time management techniques and these approaches to managing your schedule or even your attention in
Hmm.
business. He's like, oh, I kind of do something like that already. I was like, yeah, if you ran really fast, you caught a ball and scored a touchdown,
Yep.
that's great. Congratulations, you scored a touchdown. But what route did you run? Can you replicate
Right.
that? Can you do it again? No. So all you have is your speed. But by my
Hmm.
giving you the route that you ran, hey, when you run the slant, you're open. When you run the post, you have a little pressure, but you hit the weakness of their defense. Now you have a strategic approach, and you could replicate that touchdown and do it
Yep.
on demand. And that's
Yeah.
knowing the route to the system, or to your point, the rules of this
The rules to the game.
can do, right? Completely game changer.
Yep. Love it, dude. And it really is so true. I mean, I think about what you're saying, and this is the crazy thing is that a lot of people don't know this when it comes to finances. And I've like I said, I've been a financial guy, meaning like I've been wanting to learn about finances my entire life. As I got as a young boy, just trying to figure out like my parents worked so hard and did
Mhm.
everything they could, but we still couldn't get ahead for whatever reason. And so I was like, there's got to be in my mind, the questions. I always tell people this: the quality of your life is determined by two simple things: the quality of questions that you ask yourself and others, and then the quality of people that you choose to emulate. Honestly, I
Mm,
think that determines where you're going to be in life. What questions you're asking and who are you emulating? And have they created the results that you wanted? So I started digging like, what have the wealthy people done? AK, what did the Rockefeller family do? And as I started digging into all the stuff, it just like the pieces of the puzzle just came together. Everything was just stacking on top of each other. And I was like, okay. And I think for me, that's the ability to discern information is when things start. It doesn't mean you're not going to have hiccups, but it just means that you're going to have the ability to discern that things are lining up properly and going in the same direction. And they all
mhm.
were pointing towards this idea of like, man, if I master this, not only can I teach other people and help them, it's going to radically change our family's legacy forever. And then come to find out, wealthy people have been doing this for decades. We're talking 100 plus years. And that's what's wild. And I don't say just wealthy people. It's really just, I realize that it's just financially educated people because there's a lot of wealthy people I'm coming across nowadays that still don't know this concept exists for whatever reason. And
Yeah.
they don't know that they can deploy and help their families' generational legacy improve. So
Yeah. What's crazy about finances, and I do want to get to infinite banking. Actually, before I say that, I
yeah,
do want to ask about the prayer closet. But just to bounce
yes,
back off of what you said, the thing about finances, what I think of is there's some people who we could look at them and, oh man, they're wealthy or they're rich. They have all this
hmm
money. Well, there's three different ways they could have gotten that, or three ways they could have secured that. Number one is they could be a hustler. They could make money,
hmm
which means they have the income coming in, but they could be zero at the end of the month, right? Cash flow could be
right,
flat. And while they make a lot, they spend a lot. Then you have the
right,
second one who could be the saver, right? They make a bit, but because they save it, they sit on enough and they can afford things. So they, oh, okay, they
yeah,
save their money. But then the third aspect is growing it. You said
yeah,
something beautiful before, which shows that you definitely have been in the weeds, is deploy it. Where do I deploy
yeah,
my
deploy it.
money? Because
Yeah,
it's not meant to just sit there. It's meant to
yeah,
move. So we'll jump more in the finance aspect. Before we get too far though,
yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and ask. I'm not gonna look it up. I'm gonna do the work for my audience. What's a prayer closet?
Uh, All right. So a prayer closet for me, it can be different for people, but for me, a prayer closet is literally a closet. It doesn't have to be a closet, but it's literally just a space where I can go and just be by myself and with God and not just pray. You would think that this is my interpretation of it because everybody has different interpretations of it. But for me, it's a place where I can go pray and most importantly, listen. One thing
Mm,
that I've learned when it comes to spirituality is that a lot of times, you know, we sit here and we're praying and asking God for all these things, but we never take the time to just be quiet and actually listen to allow him to maybe deliver, to give us the thoughts, give us the ideas that we need. Because if we're always talking, then you're never learning. And so ideally, that's what it was for me. It's just, it literally is a hallway closet. It's right here outside of my office. It's actually really cool because we never really knew what we were going to use it for when we moved into the house. But I did. The moment I moved in, I was like, this is perfect. It's
yeah.
just this long tube like closet for coats and stuff, but it's upstairs. And so I literally put a yoga mat, well, a foam mat, not a yoga mat, but just a foam mat down there. I've got a Bible. I've got some highlighters. I've got some things. I've got, some little lights that I can turn on to make it just little bit more dim. And I've got some sticky notes. Literally, I'm a sticky note type of guy. So I got, every now and then I'll do some verses and I'll, stick them to the wall. And to be honest, like it sounds like I'm this over spiritual. I'm not. It's just like sometimes I just need to go in there. I would love to use it a lot more often than I do, to be very transparent. But I know that what led to this
Mhm.
was me being quiet and me going in that space. And I can pinpoint it back to that. And that's why it's part of this story, is because
Yeah.
I can actually track it back to that time. So
Yeah.
that's what it is.
No, I appreciate that, and it's huge because the purpose of me asking that question, right, and you hinted towards it, and this is something I wanted to extract for everyone that's listening, right? You mentioned that solitude, that stillness, the quietness to listen.
Hmm.
And as someone who's working on his faith, like I'm working on my relationship with God. I get my Bible verses,
Right.
and I have my men's study Bible, but
Yep.
I could always do better, right?
You're right.
And there's very few things. Actually, there's nothing that matches the patience of God. But
Right.
being grounded is the
Yeah.
recurring theme I've heard on this podcast, and
Yep.
having the ability to, I call it check in with film, like watch film. For
Yeah.
a lot of sports references on the podcast, and I laugh of the Instagram videos where they'd be like, "Hey, you see what you did here, bro? What were you doing? This is
Yep.
the thing." And we laugh, but we know the importance of watching film for sports, but we never look at our own film of life. We never
Yeah.
check in with ourselves. We never think to ourselves, "Hey, how am I playing this position?" Like Ted, how are you playing the position of Teddy? And are you able to navigate that well? And
Yep.
who's got the field perception to tell you the feedback? God, like because everybody else is
Yeah.
in the trees. The only person who can see the forest.
Yep.
And so I do believe in that solitude in that time alone. If anyone's listening, if you are someone of faith, it's building that relationship.
Yep.
Um, what made you? And it could be the faith background, but
Yep.
I'm more interested in the awareness of looking around and knowing
Yeah.
power beyond yourself. to get help, because a lot of us as entrepreneurs, we white knuckle it. We look at, okay, like I
Yeah.
would look at, okay, I just got to make more sales calls. If money's a problem,
Right.
I go logic. Okay, my conversion rate's
Yep.
X. I make this many calls last month. I made X. I got to double this. And I can get into an unhealthy spiral of like, well, baby, I'm trying to support the family. So I'm just
Yep.
doubling my workload to alleviate these money problems, or this, let's say pressure. Maybe it's money pressure. It's not a problem. You're not financially strapped, but you're feeling that
Yep.
pressure. You
Right.
have that awareness outside of yourself. I'm curious to where that intuition came from. If iron sharpens iron, so does one man sharpen another. But if you're a man and you're alone or listening to this, then who sharpens you? What's going on, guys? Ted Phaeton here, host of the Modern Man podcast, also founder of the Noble Knights Mastermind Group. And I'm just out here encouraging you to find your circle. Maybe you're on a personal growth journey and nobody around you understands the new mentality that you're possessing. That's okay. You can find an online community that will pour into you, will navigate your goals and navigate your obstacles, share their experiences, resources, and more. Join the Noble Knights Mastermind Group and try us out for free to tap into a community of men helping each other scale up and reach their goals. Check out themodernmanpodcast.com.
Yeah, so it's a great question, dude. And I'm like, it's actually really simple for me to answer. And it has to do with everything this podcast is about and everything that your listeners are probably seeking or maybe searching for. And it's what I said earlier in that quote. It's your environment. It's the people you're looking to emulate. And so really it came down to surrounding myself with individuals that are maybe a little bit further ahead of the game, that have already gone through the entrepreneur roller coaster. Maybe they've already taken the turns that I'm on. And so it's interesting because if you don't have people like that around you, when you get to those places, you almost have to do it on your own. But when you have people like that around you, you can bounce back ideas and things. And here's what's cool. Now you have the choice when you share your story or your struggle or whatever, somebody that has been through that and conquered it can now share with you, hey, guess what? One of the things I did was go to a prayer closet. And now I have the choice.
Mhm.
Well, I heard, I got that seed. Do I let that seed grow, or does it go in one ear and out the other? And what's really unique is when you're around individuals that are at higher levels, that have already that you want to emulate, that have already accomplished the things you want. It's really simple, and it's a really simple decisions for most men to just put the ego aside and be like, you know what? If that person tried that and it worked for them, maybe it could have worked for me too. And I think it's just that simple. It's just our culture, it's our surroundings. So for me, it was that. It was being around other men that for the first time ever, I had never heard about a prayer closet.
Yeah.
I'd never heard about like just getting quiet and getting in a place like this. But when I heard it, it stuck. And when it was time for me to receive it, God brought it to my attention again. And so that was it. It was just simply that, just taking the time to step back to realize that, you know what, maybe this is something I need to do, but it came from my association.
Nice. No, I love that. And I appreciate you sharing that, because that's also just another reason why it's so important for us to audit our circle and find out who we're
Mm-hmm.
talking to, because, it is the good friends that, we'll call each other like, hey, man, what's going on? How's the family or whatnot? It's like, what are you doing for your
Yep.
family? Or like on a phone call with my friend is
Yeah.
like, hey, man, you served your wife today? Like,
Yep.
when was the last time you took your
Yeah.
wife on a date? Like, you need friends that's going to call you out for that stuff to help keep you focused
Yeah.
and motivated. But in terms of talking legacy and talking money, I actually want to pull up this
Yep.
research study really quick. When we talk legacies, so Carnegie Legacy
Yeah.
Effect, a 2023 paper in Behavioral Public Policy shows that activating legacy increases altruistic and ethical allocation of wealth over short-term self gain. So when it comes to faith and family, people are more likely to save and invest for the future when you
Mm-hmm.
activate the thought of legacy. And you mentioned this through infinite banking. And a lot of folks listening
Yep.
might not have heard about this concept before. We mentioned the richest people in the world do it. I know you mentioned the Rockefellers. I know when it comes
Yep.
to generational wealth, unfortunately, guys, I'm about to shit on a lot of your parades, but from my research, I understood that when it comes to generational wealth, typically it's one person gains the wealth, the next generation holds on to it because they have those values from pretty much the one who gained the
Yep.
wealth. The next generation starts to squander it because they're more removed from those
Yep.
values. But by the fourth generation, that money can be blown.
Yep.
Rockefellers were able to preserve their wealth. If someone's listening to this and like, crap, I got 4 generations, no matter how good I do think when we talk infinite banking, you're not just passing along the financing, you're passing along a strategy, an approach, a behavior
Yep.
that is then replicatable for continuous growth. So talk about it and how it's
100%.
such a driver for the wealthy.
Yeah, 100%. I think it all starts for us. Like when me and my wife are kind of not coming up with the idea, but just figuring out how we were going to educate people, how we were going to be players in this space. It all started with the mind. And he was like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much money you can make. It doesn't matter how much money you can keep and protect if you don't understand the mindset of why you're even doing it in the first place. And I think it's different for everybody. So when it comes to protect your legacy, one of the first pillars that we talk about is protecting your mind, how you think, how you make decisions. Are you emotionally stable? Are you a good person? Do you have good character? Like those type of things matter so much more than the finances. And that's kind of the foundation of all that. But I get it. I'm like, it's almost sounds contradicting because I'm the person that also goes polar opposite, which is like, but guess what? Money is equally as important. Like money is like I always tell people. I can't remember who quoted it, but I believe it's one of the leadership development gurus. You might think of it as I say it, but it's like he said, money's like air. You know, when you have a lot about it, when you have a lot of it, you don't think about it, right? But when you don't have it, that's all you're thinking about. Another way I've heard say it is that who thinks more about money, the people that have it or the people that don't? It's the people that don't have it are always thinking about money because if you got it, you're not thinking about it. And so ultimately, it comes down to okay, we understand those. We understand that hey, we want to have good character, we want to have good morals, we want to be a good person. But hey, you also need to figure out how to get the finances under control in your home because they play so well together. And so for me, it was just like, hey, how do we do that? And obviously that's, once again, you said it, the Rockefellers earlier, how did they protect it for generations, for multiple generations? Well, they actually deployed something called the Rockefeller Waterfall method.
Mm.
And what they did, not to get super into the nitty gritty, because sometimes people can dive into the nitty gritty too soon. And once again, if you skip the mindset, then the details and the nuts and bolts would just it would just be too complex. But what they were able to do is they able to deploy this infinite banking concept systems so that each member in the family was able to leverage the wealth that was created by the previous generation without squandering it. So they never actually gave the next generation the ability to just destroy what what the previous generation created. They put it into systems and into clauses and into insurance policies and into vehicles that gave them the contract ability to properly leverage the money, meaning they could still use it, deploy it, and save it, but there was no way they could ever just destroy it. There's no way could ever manipulate it because of the way it was designed. And this is how the Rockefellers were able to do it versus the Vanderbilts. The Vanderbilts did not put something like this into play. And that's why the Vanderbilts are no longer a conversation when it comes to wealth. It's awesome what they built, but they're not even in the same ballpark. So with all that said, once again, it all comes to knowledge, but not just knowledge. Knowledge isn't just key, it's applied knowledge, all right? Because just like me, I saw this 15 years ago. And whether I was distracted, maybe I didn't think I needed it, whether it was too complex, whatever reason it might have been in that time where it went over my head, I don't have many regrets in my life because I'm a very positive person. But one of my biggest things that if I could go back and change is I would have looked into this a lot sooner with a lot more focus because now that I understand the power of compounding, it's a completely different scenario that I would be in. Not that we're in a bad spot, but we would be in a very completely different scenario, talking about completely different things now. And so that's what it comes down to is this like getting the knowledge, understanding, and deploying it in the proper way to create the results you want because everybody's different. But for us, it's simple. I know it's changed for you now. Like I've got 2 little boys now. That's my legacy. And my goal is to be very transparently. It's not for ego. It's not to be like, yes, I did it, but I would love for future generations or my grandchildren's grandchildren to be like, hey, why do we live the way we do? Why does our family act the way they do? Why does our family give the way that we do? Why does our family have these qualities and characteristics? And it's because my grandfather, aka me, hopefully, took the time to get educated in all the areas in life that mattered and passed it on to the next generations. That's legacy.
Yeah.
But it also includes finances.
Yeah, man, you said earlier, not just the environment or the people you surround yourself, but the quality of your life is based on the quality of your questions. What a question for our future generations to think to themselves, why do we do what we do? Or why do we do things the way we do them? and for the answer to be is because so and so was a G, all right, or so and so implemented this, that,
Yeah.
and it's not like to your point, it's not about the so's. Like I say so and so because fill in
Yeah.
blank here, right? The listener,
Yep.
whoever's listening, fill in Todd's name here,
Yep.
fill in Jack's name here, fill in Savannah's
Yep.
name here.
And you could be that person.
It's you. And it runs into your
Hmm.
family until it runs into you. And then you establish this new tradition, this new behavior, this new
Yep.
perspective of life that now becomes a foundation of your family. And it's not because you handed down riches, it's because you handed down a system, a framework, and an
Knowledge.
approach. Knowledge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's Hosea 4:6, one of my favorite verses in the Bible. I don't know many of them, but it's just like, my people will perish. I don't know them by heart, at least not yet. It's one of my big goals for this year. But it's like, my people will perish for their lack of knowledge, right?
Mhm.
And that's what it comes down to. It's like, I don't know, the more I dive into truth, I'm a truth seeker. And that's one thing that when it comes to spirituality, I'm like, I'm sorry, look, you got two options. You can choose not to believe in this and that, or you can choose to try these principles out and see if the fruit will come to pass. And in most cases for me, when I seek out truth, specifically within the Bible, it's hard to deny that your life gets better. And
Yeah.
so I'm just a truth seeker. I've always been a truth seeker. I'm like, I maybe even to the point of conspiracy theories. I'm like, I'm trying to figure this stuff out.
Yeah, it's like, hold on, what you trying to pull
Yeah,
on me now? Wait a minute.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not just a sheep. I'm not just following, but hey, I'm willing to follow. But I'm gonna do some research on the truth first. And yeah, when it comes down to this type of truth, it got me really excited because I was like, man, this can change the game for people.
Yeah. Well, so I'll start there. What is it? Man, this can go down a rabbit hole. I love this. And I hate that we only have like 15, 10, 15 minutes left in the podcast.
We're good.
Um, but with that, because protect your legacy with that thought process in mind. And
Yep,
it's something I've been telling my friends, and you mentioned it beforehand of having that environment and also coming from a family of entrepreneurs, right? I
yep,
remember being a kid, used to the little golf club by my house. We used to get through a little broken fence and I would
yep.
find golf balls in the woods
Golf balls.
and then try and
Yes.
sell them to the golfers. And I'm never gonna forget, like one of the
Yeah.
golfers paid me $20 to go find his golf ball in the woods. Now that
That,
I'm older,
that's awesome.
I'm thinking this dude was just like, here's $20, kid, leave me alone. But I still made the money.
There you go.
The demand was him finding peace, and I was supplying peace with my
Yes.
absence. But
There you go.
the
That's an
environment
outcome
piece.
focused person. He's outcome focused. He's like, I'm gonna get to my result a lot faster and
Exactly. Yeah. Here's $20. You get what you're looking for. I get some peace. So we all won there. But you had that
yeah.
environment. You came from a family of entrepreneurs, right? And because of that, there's that perspective of wealth building and wealth generation. There's also the other half where I did not come from a family of entrepreneurs. I came from both my parents. They were immigrants. They worked hard. And for them,
Yep.
they said, go to school, get a good job, lawyer,
Yep.
doctor, or failure. Those are your three options. I was like, I'm going to go into
Wow.
TV,
Okay.
right? But like, I had to unlearn some of the
Yep.
programming that came down when I started to
Yeah.
assess the world for myself, right? I started to look around and I identified, okay, mom and dad, I know we did things this way, but while that was great, we can't keep our money in a savings account anymore, mom. I don't get a pension for staying at my company for 30 years like you did, mom. So I don't get 5, 6% in my savings account like you did, mom. So
Yeah.
now I
It's not the
can
same.
change my behaviors based on the world that I live in. So when it comes to seeing information like infinite banking, or you mentioned the applied knowledge being the true power, not just knowledge,
Yep.
speak to coming across things as you're seeking truth that are contradictory to how you've always done things and your willingness to try something out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, so I think that's oh man, what a powerful question. I think that's something that people develop over time. I think it's a muscle. Like your ability to try new things to it comes down to your identity. Like you got to know who you are. You really do. When it comes down, if you're going to try something new, I always tell people, look, you got to be so confident in you that nobody can convince you to do something you don't want to do. Like
Mm,
I want that to sink into people. Like be so confident that you're willing to learn and get educated, even from different perspectives. But you got to be so confident in who you are as an individual, your characteristics, your abilities as a person, your values, that nobody's gonna convince me, no matter what they say, to do something I don't want to do inside. But when you're that type of person, when the right thing hits your spirit, it's identified and you know. Now you know you can search it, you can dig deeper. And for me, it was that. I mean, I worked really hard over time. My background is psychology. I studied psychology, and I almost did it as a master because I just love understanding not only how I think, but how other people think. So that was a huge piece of my success, is just my identity piece. Like, that's one thing that I can be very transparent at, is that, look, I've always had a very confident and strong identity of who I am as a person, and I was very likable for that reason. But that was it. That was the piece of the puzzle. Was like, hey, I got to know that I can receive new information and be very diplomatic about it, but it's not going to change me as a person because I know who I am. But if it can benefit me down the road, then I'm willing to learn and pivot. And that's what I did. So that's what it really came down to, is that, hey, now it's time for me to pivot and learn and realize that, hey, like you said, maybe we just haven't been taught the rules to the game. Maybe the game isn't really broken. And then, and as you start going down that rabbit hole, like, you can't deny truth. Man, let me see if I can get the quote right. It hit me the other day and it was so good. Look, truth is truth, whether you know it or not. And a lie's a lie. Oh man, I don't know exactly how it is, but truth is truth, whether you know it or not. And that's huge. And there's another part of the quote that talks about a lie. Maybe you can figure it out. It's a lie. A lie is a lie, even if it's coming from a liar or something like that. So it was really powerful when I first heard it. I wish I could remember it, but regardless, that's what it comes down to. Is that simple idea is that, look, once you know, like, once you see truth, you can't deny it. And for me, it was like, okay, as I started going down this rabbit hole of understanding that. How the Federal Reserve was created, why it was created. Then you go down the education system, and all this stuff just
Yeah.
started leading to this same principle of, like, it's not a conspiracy. There is a group of very wealthy business owners, aka bankers, that created a system that not only benefited them, but really it could benefit anybody if they knew how to operate it. The problem is that they didn't teach people how to operate in it. They created the system that would benefit everybody, but they didn't show people how to use the system. Almost, I can't say they were evil or malintentioned, meaning that they just didn't teach people. So if you didn't use the system properly, it actually hurt them. It wasn't better. And so when you start learning about this stuff, you're like, wait, how come I've never heard of this before? Like, one of the books is like the Creature of Jackal Island. For your listeners, I'm telling, I'll give you the link so you can add it here. It's a 1 minute. It's an hour kind of TED Talk style. It's called the Creature of Jackal Island, and they can listen to that and make their own assessment about the banking system, about the Federal Reserve, and where really all money was created from. And once you start going down these little rabbit holes, you start asking different questions. Well, aka the quality of your questions determine the quality of the answers that you receive. And so once you start asking better questions, you start receiving better answers. And once you start receiving better answers, you have the ability to do better things. It's literally just that simple. And so that's my journey. And I've been continuing on this discovery of truth, not only just in my personal life and faith, but in finances as well, because I think it all ties together. And that's what it comes down to. It's just like, okay, this is undeniable truth.
Man,
So
it's like you're just telling me the creators of our financial system put in like cheat codes, like in GTA, when you get the whole manual, you can get all how it all works, but they don't have the cheat codes in the manual.
no,
Like, so you're in the game.
yeah.
You're like, how does homeboy have a tank?
Yeah. And so it's funny. You just made me think. This is funny for the listeners. I'm sure all our listeners are probably in our similar demographic, and they've all played Mario Kart. I mean, how many fights did we get in our friends with Mario Kart?
So many.
I'm not gonna lie. I was that person, and instead of racing, on some of the tracks, instead of racing, I knew that there was like this way that you could kind of bump the wall and jump over into the next lane.
Yeah.
So instead of actually doing the race and going around, I would literally just try to do that little cheat code and just bounce and bounce against the wall until I finally made it over. And sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it's not. But it makes me think of that. What you just said is that, look, hey, sometimes we're just keep bouncing our head around this cheat code, or maybe we're just doing the laps around the race, not knowing that You could just jump right over the wall.
Yeah.
And so it's so interesting, man. And it's all just, once again, it all comes back to lack of knowledge.
Man, this is fantastic. Less than 8 minutes left in the call, man. What is it you want folks to know about infinite banking, how it could build their legacy and set them up for success moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's simple. I think for me, it's that it can be a game changing financial tool for not only for their family now, but also for the future. A lot of times, obviously, the name is protect your legacy. It's like, but protecting your legacy starts with protecting it now and in the future. One cool thing about infinite banking that most people don't understand, really, you're not changing anything other than where your money goes first. And that's why it's so simple. It doesn't have to be this over the top hype thing that people get on social media and like, I've used the terms, become your own banker, all these different types of good marketing terms. They're awesome. Don't get me wrong, because you can become your own banker using the tools, but it doesn't have to be that. It's just like, it's very simple. Do you want control of your money, or do you want the bank to have control of your money? You decide. So it's like,
My money.
okay, if there is, right, is your money, okay, do you want control of your money, or do you want to give it to the government? That's also another very simple answer. And so when you start asking these questions and you start coming to a definite conclusion, then you're like, okay, well, what can give me that result? Well, if this vehicle can give me that result, then why wouldn't I do more research to look into how to do it properly, just like other families have, so that I can keep full control of my money, so I can pass it on tax-free to the next generation without any penalties and things like that, and so that I can truly protect my legacy long term. And the beautiful thing about it is that it's just this. People just don't know you can do these things because they're not asking the right questions. But if you ask the right questions, you will get the right answers. And if you're not skeptical and you're a free thinker and you know that nobody can convince you to do something you don't really want to do, then ultimately you're going to always make the right decisions, most likely that move your family in the direction you want to go, aka towards your legacy. So that's the simplicity of it. Look, it's not rocket science. It's not hard. The only thing you do is change where your money goes first. And then from there, you deploy it. So it's something that I came up with. It's called the cash flow framework, because it doesn't matter how many people you ask. You could line up 100 people and ask them, okay, how well did you do this year financially? How much money did you make? Awesome. But the question is, how much money did you keep? How much did you preserve?
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't have systems in play that allow them to do that. And this vehicle allows you to do that, because let's say an entrepreneur makes $150,000 a year. How much do they typically spend? Most entrepreneurs that are making that money probably spend it all.
A lot of
And
it.
so the idea is shifting your mindset of like, okay, well, let me slow down and speed up. What if I could deploy my money into a system first, and then from there do my livable expenses? It takes a little bit of unlearning, like you said, and you've got to be willing to unlearn and deploy a new strategy in order to get out of the financial rat race that most of us are in. It goes, once again, we just don't know the rules, and the game was designed against us. People don't understand that if you're paying interest, I'll leave you with this. This is the biggest thing. If people can understand this, every single thing in life we finance, no matter what. Whether people know it or not, every single thing in life we finance. And what do I mean by that? Because whether you're putting it on credit cards or a note, or whether you're paying cash, this is where it's like, boom, the light bulb. Even if you're paying cash, you're losing out on the opportunity of that cash growing for you in another system. And that's where it's like, wait, let me slow down. So if I pay cash for a car, that cash is gone forever. But what if I put it into a system first that would compound at 4 or 5%, and then somehow had the capacity to borrow from myself to pay off this car? And then when I pay off the car completely, I now have the cash available again, and I have the car. I don't know about you, but I could say that slower. But in most cases, if you could have the car and have the same amount of money that you would have spent anyways in a vehicle that you have control over and deploy again, which way would you prefer to purchase a vehicle? In my opinion, probably the second way versus just letting go of the cash flow. And it's just that simple flow of money. How does money truly flow? We've never been taught how money truly flows.
Man, I usually say, at the end of the podcast, they got no more questions, but I think a lot of folks have high quality questions, which I want to make sure they have an opportunity to get in touch with you, brother.
Yep.
So how can folks connect with you, protect your legacy, learn more from what you, Kristen, have built, and how you're helping families not just own their finances, but really own really just the autonomy of their home? holistically, inside and out. I'd love for
Yeah.
folks to have the appropriate links.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome, man. And that's where we're about. I love what you just said. I'll say this last thing is that the autonomy, holistic lifestyle, that's what we're about. It's not about the money. It's about like, how can we be the best fathers, the best husbands, the best leaders? And unfortunately, I think it's hard if you don't get the financial piece under control. It's really hard. So in order for people to do that, they're going to ask some powerful questions. They can ask you directly. We can connect. Another way to get in a hold of me is on my social media handles. One of my, two platforms that I use is Instagram. So my personal Instagram, which I post a lot of personal lifestyle and also protect your legacy stuff, it's Surge Pro 11. That's my personal one. And then my business one is protect.your.legacy. So it's protect your legacy with dots in the middle. So protect your legacy with two little dots separating the your. So yeah, Surge Pro 11 or protectyourlegacy.com. I've got a couple other things I'll be posting out there, but mostly that's where I'll be for now. We'll be launching a website soon if that makes sense. But most of the time, a lot of what we do is word of mouth. It's based on relationship. It's people that have effectively deploy the system, refer other people and be like, hey, here's what it's done for me. I've got so many cool stories already, not only personal. I don't even have to share my personal ones. I love sharing the ones of other people. They're like, hey, thank you so much for sharing this. Like, we literally just bought our family dream car.
Nice.
And I bought my wife our family dream car the way that you showed me to do it in a matter of 6 months versus 3 years. And I'm like, that is cool. And it's simply just because people are flowing their money differently. But that's where they can find me if they have high quality questions. Right there, brother.
Man, I love it. And last question, as we have a couple minutes, is what is something you've seen or something that's happened to you that shapes the way you view the world as a man?
Oh man, I don't know if we have enough time for that.
My bad. My bad.
But I'll tell you this. I'll give you a glimpse. If people want to see what's shaped my view of life, I've always had a very positive view on life. I've always been a very positive person and hopeful and faithful person. But that muscle got stretched to a whole nother dimension when my little boy, Kai, was born with a heart defect. Unexpected heart defect. If you want to hear the full story, it's on it's on our channels, and I can send you some links if people want to hear the full story. It's pretty touching, but ultimately it comes down to that. It's like when you see how fragile life really is, and how it can just be taken away. You can go from the highest, most magical moment in your life of catching your little boy at home. We had a home birth and I catch him, to 20 hours later, we're driving in a car with your wife trying to be the emotional support as your little boy's in a helicopter by himself on the way to Charleston, South Carolina to have emergency heart surgery. And so, I think it puts in perspective what really matters. And what really matters is quality time with the people that we love. And once again, all that to be said is that shapes your perspective. But the truth is that life is so much easier when you have your finances under control.
Yeah.
Because all that was going to happen regardless, no matter what. But it was such a blessing that we had support. It was such a blessing that we had systems in place. It was such a blessing that we had people in place that covered us. And so if I could leave the listeners with anything is, man, just surround yourself with good quality people. Because life hits everybody, no matter what, whether you know it, life's going to hit you. And one of my biggest takeaways is that the easiest way to make it out of it is going to be your faith and the people that you surround yourself by. So,
amen. Founder of Protect Your Legacy, a financial education firm that empowers families, especially men, to reclaim financial sovereignty through tools like infinite banking, strategic life insurance, and long-term legacy planning. Sergio, thank you for being on, brother. This has been fantastic.
hey, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate you and looking forward to the future conversation. I know this is kind of the rekindling of our friendship and building together, man.
Oh yeah. Speaking of the rekindling, we're about to set this thing ablaze coming up and on a Spartan race that we're probably going to be doing together.
Yes.
This will be out afterwards,
we'll have to document the race because Ted, remind me real quick. How old are you about to be? If you don't mind sharing on here, I don't know if you do or not.
37, going to be 38 in April next year.
So you're about to be 38. I'm about to turn 39 in August next month. So you're probably all about this. So it's like I challenged myself and my wife. I told her that I'd be in the best not best fittest shape, best financial shape, but fittest by 40 challenge is what I gave myself. Fittest by 40. So let's go.
Let's go. Hey, I'll meet you there, man, because what you said at the beginning of the episode, as I recap really quick, is something in me I can give to the world. And man, I just want the folks at home to really soak that up, because whoever is listening, whoever's watching, wherever you are, whatever your circumstances, there is something within you that you can give to the world. And what can I give my heart to? In order for you to give that to the world, you might have to give your heart to it first and then build that up. Hence your legacy. The system isn't broken. We just don't know the rules. How many of us are just running around in GTA and everybody has the tanks and the jets and the fast cars? We don't know the cheat codes. Well, now, if you ask the right questions, you have the person who can give you the answers for those cheat codes. The quality of your questions and who you surround yourself or who you emulate can help dictate the quality of your life. Prayer closet, spend time alone, not just to pray, but to listen in that solitude. And money is like air. And who thinks about it the most? Those who have it or those who don't? If you can get more air in your lungs, how easy will you breathe and how will you move differently? And if you need help doing that, building your legacy, pushing that forward, I know someone who could answer some of those questions for you and help surround you with more of that. Reach out to Sergio, reach out to myself, reach out to the Noble Knights. We got your back. And as always, if you want to build that community, reach out to some friends, share this episode with them, tell them how much you loved it, give us a like, give us a subscription so you can see a new episode each and every single week, and leave us a rating to let us know how we're doing. It's the best compliment you can give us. And of course, catch us next week. Because like we say at the end of every episode, everybody wants the sunshine, but they don't want the rain. But you can't get the pleasure without first the pain. Let's grow.